In the last video, I bought a 1998 CBR600 Smokin Joe edition. This is an F3 CBR, and the motorcycle's been sitting for the last couple years, and it needs a good servicing. And today, that's exactly what we're gonna give it. I am very excited to finally have my CBR fully serviced. Even though winter is about to come, this is a very good time to take care of some much needed maintenance items on my Smokin Joe F3 here. The very first thing I want to do here is change the engine oil. I was told the engine oil was changed about a year and a half ago, which is 2 seasons ago now. So I want to change the oil out because oil does break down. Even though the oil looks fairly new from the dipstick, I might as well flush it out, change it out, and put some high quality Amsoil into it. The very first thing we're going to do is fire this bike up because we got to get the oil flowing a bit. Any excuse for the cold startup with this bike I will take. Okay, now that the engine is hot, I will not lie, I've been dreading this a little bit because I know for a fact that I'm going to have to remove some plastics. But looking it over, I don't think this side plastic is going to have to come off at all. Reason being is the drain bolt is right there. And I should be able to just simply sneak my wrench or my socket underneath it without damaging any of the plastics. Now, it's not really me trying to be lazy to not take the plastics off, I just really don't want to damage them. So the less plastics I have to remove and mess around with, the less likelihood of me doing anything bad to them. So we'll drain that in just a second, but looking at the oil filter here, I can reach the oil filter from this hole here, but I won't be able to put the oil filter back in really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this window and take it out. I might pull this whole side off. Again, I'm not trying to do this the lazy way, I'm trying to just do it without messing anything up. So if I do come and get my wrench under here, I can easily access the drain bolt without interfering with the plastics here. So you really don't have to take the plastics off this side whatsoever. So I'm gonna very carefully just come here and get that drain bolt loose. And the oil should be pretty hot. There we go. That oil looks pretty new. So no real complaints from the oil health at all. I guess it's slightly used, but still, I mean, that's some pretty clean oil. The gentleman I bought this motorcycle from had owned this bike since 2003. So he did take really good care of it, which is good to see. These bikes hold almost a gallon of oil, 3.9 quarts. While that drains out, I'm gonna pull the fairing off the other side. So these 2 bolts out, and it comes off like so. So I have decided, just because there isn't quite enough room to get enough leverage there, I'm just gonna pull this whole side panel off. So very stupid design. I've been going back and forth into how I take this off. There's 2 hidden bolts right here, so you have to take that off, and now I can finally access these. I had to take this out anyway because we're gonna be addressing that, so I got it, but man, is that not fun. I've been going back and forth like, oh my god, I have to be doing something wrong. Like, why is this not easily coming out? Because this has to come out, and this has pop tabs. Oh my god, I hate these plastics. Pop tabs are my least favorite because they always crack. They always break no matter what. There's nothing you can do. Oh, there's a hidden bolt up here I almost missed. So this is a pusher. Okay, now, there we go. All of that for an oil change, huh? Okay, this really isn't all that bad. It's just the first time learning, it was like, what am I doing wrong? The stress of not wanting to break this is more than anything. So get the oil filter a little loose. This shouldn't be super hot. Take a piece of cardboard here to make sure that the oil doesn't get on the headers. I'm gonna put the drain bolt back in. Learning as we go, people. Learning as we go. So I'm gonna pull this a little bit. Can't pull it. Bikes on the stand. So we're just gonna go like this. To catch all of the oil. And put it away from the header. Okay, so now I have a brand new oil filter, an Amsoil oil filter made for this bike that we will put on it. But before that, take a little bit of oil and just put it and pre-lube the filter, but also let's get the ring a little wet because it helps seal it. I got a little on the header, obviously my fault. Who else's fault would it be? Okay, so before putting the filter back in, just clean the header off a little bit. It will burn off, but it should clean as much as possible. And clean the surface, of course, as well. Simply just screw the filter back on. Perfect fit. These are supposed to be hand snug. Don't over tighten these. So right here. So now we can come and simply open this up here. Now, as I was saying before, these motorcycles take about 3.9 quarts. I'm gonna put about 3.7 or so in it. Warm the bike up a little bit, let the oil flow back into the filter and everywhere. Then we'll check the oil level and add accordingly. There's always a little bit of oil that remains somewhere in the engine, so you don't want to overfill either. And once again, we're going to be using Amsoil 10W40. These motorcycles recommended by Honda, and what we're going to be doing is putting 10W40. When we talk about oil, Amsoil is a very premium brand, and when you have a motorcycle that you care about, you want to care about your engine and longevity of it, a quality oil like Amsoil will help keep the engine clean. So once again, thank you to Mark from Clovis Lubricants, but there's another thing I want to talk about real quick, and the reason why I'm changing the oil now. The season is coming to an end here. There really isn't that many more miles that are going to be put on this bike, but as I was saying before, all the detergents in the oil really go away after about a year and a half. A lot of my motorcycles, like that Yamaha there, this CBR, they don't get huge mileage every year, and because of that, you want to have a quality oil in the engine even though it isn't being used, because when it's used, all the detergents in the oil help keep the motor clean and just keep the motor in proper running order. With that said, let's fill this motorcycle up. I'm always so much more satisfied whenever my motorcycles get an oil change. Whenever we do these quick services, it just goes a long way for longevity of these things. I always say, if you directly don't know when the last time the oil was changed, change it. So that's 1, 2, 3, and that is not quite 4. I'm gonna fill about that much. And now we're gonna fire her up. That's like 3.8 is what we got in it right now. So when you measure it, you don't screw the cap in. You just get it there and pull it out. It's probably hard to see on camera, but it is reading at the low bar. What I'm gonna do is just fill it up with a little bit more. We'll fill it up with the full 3.9, and then we'll check it. Still reading low, so I'm gonna add just all of it in, and we're just gonna do 4 quarts. We're reading about halfway on the dipstick now. So this is exactly where I would want it to be. We'll let it circulate one more time, and then I think we should be good this time. Come over and give it just a triple check for my personal satisfaction, and it is reading at the halfway mark. So the next thing I want to do, and the reason why we had to come here anyway, is because I want to change out the brake fluid. Brake fluid is hydroscopic. I've said that many times in the past, and what that means is brake fluid absorbs water. Every 2 years, it is recommended to change out your brake fluid. I don't know the last time it's been changed, so once again, naturally, we're just going to flush it out. The goal is to just flush the old fluid with the new fluid and get the brakes some fresh fluid. Doesn't look too bad. You want to be very careful when you're working with brake fluid. If this touches any of the paints or anything like that, well, it's going to take it right off. Luckily, there's not too much here to damage, and I'm going to be doing this extremely carefully. So we've got the cap off. There is a diaphragm that lives inside of it. You always want to check those, because if those are bad, well, you're not going to build pressure. Luckily, this one looks like it's in pretty good condition. Now I've cleaned out the inside of this. What I'm going to do is use this for my old brake fluid. I'm going to lay this kind of just over everything here and underneath this here, just in case. And we want to pull all of this fluid out with a syringe. The brake fluid didn't look too old. It's good to see a bike that has been maintained. And we've got her completely drained now. So we're gonna be using some synthetic brake fluid here. You can always see on the top of the cap if you use 3, 4, or 5. You can read DOT4 on the top of this one here. We're gonna be using the racing fluid for CBRs. This is the better option. And I am going to be using the syringe because that's how worried I am about this thing. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I really don't want to get any brake fluid anywhere. Anything to do with brake fluid is my least favorite job while working on bikes. Or anything for that matter. Alright, so I've used some brake cleaner. Pour some in there. Extract it with the syringe. I know some people are gonna like make fun of my methods here, but I don't enjoy working on this stuff at all. So I'm going to fill this reservoir up, and then I'm going to bleed the brakes from the back here. So there's a bleeder right on top of the caliper here. You turn the bleed screw, you force pressure through it with the rear brake pedal. It will flush all of the fluid that is in these lines and inside the caliper out into our makeshift reservoir to collect everything, or collector, I suppose. So right here I have a line that's going to go on the end of it and right into the bottle there. Yeah, the fluid in there has chunks. Yeah, that fluid is very old. This is a good thing that we're doing. So then I continued to flush out all of that old brake fluid until I saw clear brake fluid running through the lines. So the fluid is now running clear. We have flushed out a significant, if not pretty much all of that bad fluid. My line is also just a little bit foggy, which makes it look foggy, but I think we're in a pretty good situation here. I'm gonna bleed it just to make sure that there's no air in the system. So now I'm just gonna top up the reservoir and our rear flush is done. Now the front side is a tad more tricky. Reason for that is because it is a dual front caliper. What you wanna do with a dual front caliper, or even this applies to cars, you always bleed the caliper furthest away from the reservoir. In this case, that's the closest side, so we're going to be bleeding the left side first. So same story with the rear. We're gonna flush, bleed, and call it a day. The fluid in the front here is not quite as bad as the fluid in the rear was, but still good to change it out. I finished the left side, moved to the right side, got both systems really cleared up, but I wasn't building pressure in the master cylinder anymore. Okay, so now both calipers have been bled. I had to bleed the master cylinder just because I let the fluid level go too low. But if you do look here, there's that metal retainer right there that you can kind of see floating around right there. That needs to go back on top of there. The piece with the hole sits inside the big hole, and the other piece kind of just like covers the breather hole there, I suppose. After that, I figured out that this was a float, so you just let that kind of sit in there. I'm gonna fill it up, get that piece where it needs to be, and seal this all back up, and we're done. And at this point, I put everything back together. It was time to get the fairings on and time to take the motorcycle out for a proper wash. There was potentially brake fluid lingering around, so I just wanted to wash the bike, get all the oil, the dirts, everything, plus a decent amount of dust that had just been sitting on it from before I bought it. Good to get it detailed. This bike is absolutely just gorgeous. Wow. I cannot stop looking at this thing. I'm going to take it for a quick ride, make sure the brakes feel good, and make sure the oil light doesn't come on, circulate the oil all the way, and see if I can clean the carbs out a little bit as well. That took way longer than I thought it would, but the bike is all finished, all serviced up, and it seems to be clearing itself out a little bit. I've only taken this bike on one real ride ever, so I'm very excited to take it out in the next couple days here and put some miles on it. With that said, that's all I have for this one. If you guys did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel because that helps out greatly. But also, if you missed the video on when I picked this thing up, click there, go check it out.